we've had the media essentially looking for what is their identity in a post-Trump world. We've seen CNN, MSNBC, the New York Times, essentially kind of continue just to look back at January 6th, continue to focus on that, whether the fight over the commission, all these things. I've said, I'm for a commission. It's fun, great. I don't think it needs to, it merits 24/7 media coverage. And other than that, a little coverage on the mass shootings, not exactly challenging politicians per se, just covering it. But they're not really talking about the economic elephant in the room. Obviously, Biden and the Democrats totally fooled you on, coronavirus treatment's going to be free. You don't have to pay for it. Biden said that during the Democratic primary. We're seeing more and more horror stories out there where people are, $1 million bills in the hospital from being hospitalized. But now that the pandemic's kind of overish, the eviction moratorium is over in just a few weeks at the end of June. Every state is different. Some states have longer moratoriums, but the federal eviction moratorium, which is really what landlords have to or are supposed to oblige by, is over at the end of June. CNBC article here says basically you have more than 11 million Americans are behind on their rent, and many could be pushed from their homes when the national eviction ban expires in June. This is the CDC's moratorium, which has been in effect since September, which will lift on June 30th. The policy has been far from perfect at keeping renters housed. It's reduced the normal number of evictions filed over the same time period. Experts say the number of evictions could skyrocket when the ban lifts. Around 15% of adult renters are not current on their housing payments, according to an analysis by the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities. Quote, "We're going to see what we've been managing to stave off. This wave of evictions that is just going to crush some of these areas," said John Pollack, coordinator of the National Coalition for a Civil Rights Council. And, we have had, Steve, dating back all the way to the first coronavirus stimulus, rental relief that was supposed to go directly to tenants and landlords. But as many outlets, well, not many, but few outlets have reported, it was designed as a bureaucratic nightmare, just like the state unemployment systems have been designed. So if you look at, and this is from Vox, credit to these outlets who have, the few outlets that have been reporting on the looming evictions. If you look at Vox, let's look at the distribution of this. Georgia's Department of Community Affairs told me that it has distributed more than $4 million in rental assistance funding to landlords and tenants. The state has received over $552 million.
Oh, wow.
$552 million. They've doled out $4 million. Delaware, Joe Biden's neighborhood there, State Housing Authority said it distributed 40,000, 0.02% of its allocated funds. Idaho Housing and Finance Association, 6.1 million of the 175 million they've received. Colorado, 2.8 million has been approved from the 247 million it received. Arizona shows 4.38 million has been sent out, 289 million it received. Where the hell is this money going, Steve?
Man, that's worse than I even thought. I almost wish you didn't show me that, man. This makes it worse because what you've got is not necessarily a Biden. He hasn't sent money out there. It's there. They're not distributing it. So that's a distribution problem at the edge, at the local level. So, I mean, somebody's screwing up at the federal level. They need to be auditing the shit out of this, and they need to be making sure that those payments get out to Jane and Joe Q Public. Because I can tell you right now, people I know, they're biting their nails like you wouldn't believe. As soon as they started opening up the economy, as soon as you started seeing the people taking their masks off, the meat grinder began. And this is just the next phase, and it is going to be brutal. And it isn't just renters, man. You got mortgage people too that were in forbearances, you name it. And the tsunami is going to be epic. And unfortunately, as you know, many people, when Joe Biden finally accepted the nomination, went back into hibernation for another 4 years. So the numbers that we need, the people that we need to push this forward, we have trimmed that number way down because we thought it was better to have a frenemy than a straight up enemy. And here we go.
First of all, we'll get to kind of this audit and the bigger scam of just because the government says it's sending money towards things doesn't mean the money actually goes to that. That's why in the HEROES Act, when they said we desperately need money for state and local governments, I said, well, pause for a second. I could tell you, go ask the people of Flint. 180 million went towards relief the people of Flint. Go ask the people of Flint how much of that money actually went to them. Okay, that is one of the biggest scams of neoliberal administrative state. They earmark money towards X, Y, and Z, and it usually does not go and towards the recipients. It ends up being diverted to donors, NGOs, nonprofits, real estate. I digress. But I wanted to ask you, Biden has power as the president. He could do an executive action tomorrow to say you cannot be evicted in any state due to hardship from coronavirus, and have a program in place to not like direct payments for tenants and landlords, because not every landlord is Goldman Sachs. You have normal everyday people that need to pay their mortgages that rent. So he has the power, but there's been no talk among Biden, the Democratic Party. It's all been about moratoriums, but I always said, what happens when the music stops?
Yeah, we're all sitting out. We're on the outside looking in, man, and your life is literally in someone else's hands in this case. They're not talking about it, and you can see how quickly the Medicare for All conversation stopped happening. You can see that student debt stopped happening. All these things that directly help regular people stopped happening. And the reason why Biden is not doing any executive order towards whether it be student debt relief or mortgage moratorium, like fixing that shit, the arrears on that and getting the rent right, is because it directly affects people. And that is not what his game is. His game is to directly help businesses. And then if it helps people through trickle down, then so be it. But he's not going to trickle it up. He's going to literally always trickle it down. And as you've seen, that money doesn't make it where it's supposed to go to. And there's no, in fact, I think they even completely had it written in that there would be no oversight. There would be no audit in the initial Corona stuff that Trump put forward. So you can expect that same level of non-transparency to continue as people literally end up jumping out of freaking roofs and jumping out of buildings because they don't know what to do with themselves. Life gets pretty hopeless when you don't have any cash and when you're like this. Excuse my French.
Call me old-fashioned, Steve. I know we live in the United Corporations of America, but shouldn't there be some attention paid or coverage of that this was a pandemic and there's no way for people to pay the money back in a lot of cases? I think that number that CNBC is quoting, 11 million, is undercounted. I'm sure it's more than 11 million. Biden ran on, a lot of we're going to heal the world, racial, atone for our sins with Black and brown people. If you look at the communities, particularly in New York, it is Black and brown communities that have the highest eviction rates. Like, the landlords already have the eviction notices in there. They're just waiting for the moratorium to lift. So even though it's, a couple weeks towards, can't there be a pressure campaign to say, hey, I believe in modern monetary theory and I have the right guy here, but under the prism that they're talking, hey, you're getting out of Afghanistan, spend that money, pay the landlords directly for the back pay, call it a wash. We're not kicking anybody out. Can't there be a pressure campaign among progressives?
Well, I got to tell you, the problem with the idea of a progressive campaign is that you can see clearly most progressives don't talk to MMT people. They just don't. They literally don't. Hey, I got an economist over here. He said what I wanted to hear. So, hey, that's enough for me. They're not listening. They don't want to hear the bad news, the good news. They don't want to hear the solutions. And I'm not sure whether it's just hey, this is a new paradigm. I'm not used to it, so I can't hear that. or if it's somebody has perverted their minds to believe that somehow or another we're not giving you the straight skinny. But the fact of the matter is that every single one of these things Joe Biden has been advised of, I guarantee has been advised of by people like Kelton and the others on that transition team, that he can go big and go big often. And he could, in fact, do these things. So I know he knows he could. I know he knows he could on the student debt stuff as well. I know he knows these things, but he's choosing not to because politically, ideologically, he is a neoliberal. He is a Wall Street guy. And the people that are surrounding him are Wall Street people. And so the idea, again, in any way, shape, or form of direct payments to people is the last thing he wants to do. And unfortunately, getting progressives to agree on whether the sky is blue or purple is like almost a bridge too far right now. Too much division, too much insane division. And so putting a pressure campaign on maybe a small cadre of people that are, ready to take it on. But a lot of folks, the minute you tell them something that their ears don't want to hear, it's done. There's no chance of getting together and making people work together in that way. We're seeing this with the state by state Medicare for all fight, trying to explain the difference between a currency issuer and a currency user, and their heads are exploding. And we're bad guys, we're right wingers, we're naysayers, blah, blah, blah. So when you look at something as important as rent and mortgage relief and debt relief, getting progressives to agree on how to solve that problem, they think all I did, they woke up at a Holiday Inn and so now all of a sudden they know economics. And unfortunately, that's literally what we're up against right now in terms of getting any kind of motion in the field, in the street, you name it. It's going to be a real challenge.